Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Flashbang Wallop. It's our 17th show in the series, and tonight we're welcoming Sarah to join the team. So, hello, Sarah, and welcome to the team.
Hi everyone, and thank you so much for asking me to join the team. It's been a great pleasure doing a couple of shows with you previously, and lovely to be back. Good to see you all.
That's great, Sarah, and it'll be great to get a different perspective from us four old fogies here battling away each week and chatting away. I've also got with us back is Neil. Hello, Neil. Good evening.
Good evening. End of the rugby season, the first half for me. So, yeah, I've done no photography this weekend. It's been quite nice.
Good. And Ian, good evening.
Good evening. Yeah, I have done some photography this weekend. There you go, nice sunrise from yesterday morning. I put a couple of pictures in the folder, so that was very nice. Yeah, nice to do something for me for a change.
And Damo, good evening, Damien. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Had a wonderful sunrise here, and I've got a photograph to show of that from just simply the using my iPhone. A beautiful morning here in Solihull area.
Will we be seeing that one on Weather Watchers then? Do we just need to watch the
Oh, I didn't,
BBC?
never got selected, never got
Oh,
selected, but it's
damn
still
it.
great fun. A reflection as well
No, that's not like you.
They
of a
probably
car
won't.
roof
Oh,
as
not another
well.
one.
Car roof reflection.
Go to the Blue Sky for Share Mondays.
Yeah, the weather has been pretty helpful with sunrise and sunsets the last few days, hasn't it? The weather we've had has been quite
Speak for
strange.
yourself. Speak
Oh,
for
you have bad
yourself.
weather at your end.
Friday, I
Good.
had to go up the mountain to find any blue sky. We've been clouded in over the lake. So,
Okay. So tonight's show, we're usual format. We're going to talk about a few news items, bits of gear we've seen, and a couple of discussions about what's going on in photography and with the gang here. I've also asked all of them to produce the best photo for the year, so we'll be showing them up in a few minutes. Sarah, though, you got some great photographs of foxes. Do you want to explain about this? I'm going to show up a few here as you explain.
Yes. So this year I extended my Fox project, which started with in Bushy Park with one vixen and her cubs over a number of years. I expanded it to another urban green space in London, where I was able to watch a whole family group and some of their interactions with family groups on the border. And so we're coming round to the time last year that I started watching this group, and we're now seeing behavior that is leading up to the next point of breeding season. I was really thrilled yesterday that one of my recent images, an autumn piece that shows two of the vixens in the family group who were almost siblings. They were raised together. I'm not certain that they're exact siblings, maybe cousins, lying together on the ground. They're not looking directly at each other, but they are comfortable in each other's presence. And they were comfortable in both my presence and my friend Connie, who I'm doing the project with, because we got on the ground with them and we got very damp and we got covered in leaves, but it was absolutely worth it. And it's the start of seeing some of the behavioral changes between the vixens within this family group. The fox on the left, as you're looking at the image, you'll see is a slightly grayer color than the fox on the right. So we call these two grey and red. And red is the dominant vixen. So it took a while for Grey to come out, and she really did seem to be somehow asking Red for permission. Was it okay to come out to be in her space? So I think we had to wait a full half hour or so before Grey finally came out and settled down. And once they settled down together, it was lovely. We stayed like that on the ground with them for about half an hour before both foxes eventually got up and went their own way.
Sorry, the next one here is are they fighting with each other?
Yeah, it's so this is a great one for me to explain. So you'll see the two foxes, they almost look like they could be dancing, and I did when I shared this for Share Mondays the other week, I did title it strictly fox dancing. This is the behavior that I would normally be expecting to see in January, February, once we really get into the breeding season, what we call traveling time for foxes, where the males are on the move, the females are um, challenging each other a bit for dominance, and they're calling for the males to come to them. And as you'll probably all know, it gets to be quite a noisy time of
Yes,
year.
yes.
So, what is actually happening here is these two foxes, it's just a little test of strength. When you see them in action and they are back and forth and back and forth, and the mouths are open wide and they appear to be actually going at each other, and sometimes they will do a sort of a hold of each other's heads if they can get hold to it. But mostly it's about the paws on shoulders, looking that, and it's just a wrestling match. And the dominant, the alpha female, will come out as the one who has managed to subdue the other female and push her to the ground, which is what happened. So Red actually pushed Grey all the way back and right down into the shrubbery, and there was quite a lot of screeching for quite a while. Some alarmed visitors to the gardens who were around. I should say adults who were around. There was one like young boy who came and stood right next to me, and he was fascinated. I had a lovely conversation with him, explained the whole thing, and he wanted them to dance again. But I said they've done it all now, and now you'll see they're lying down together, and Grey was just behind Red, and head lowered, not looking directly at each other. And another week comes on, and now they're not sharing space with each other at all. So they're all in the same territory, but a little bit like the cats in your neighborhood. They are timing their patrolling routes so that they don't come into direct contact with each other. But the dog fox has been in, and he's flirting with the girls already. So he gets down low and he folds his ears back, and he makes these lovely sort of little sounds, and he's just and the tail wags. It's not the normal wag you would see with a dog. It's a very sinuous wag like this. Um, and she'll respond by getting down to the ground, tail wagging. They'll both be doing the open mouths at each other again. I think some of that is the I trust you. I trust you to have your mouth open right near my throat. As she'll roll over and bare her belly, and that's the acceptance. Understanding this language that goes far beyond the actual sounds they're making, but goes to the positioning of the ears, the lowering of the head, the whole posture of the body, and what's going on with that tail. It's been absolutely fascinating.
How far are you from these foxes?
Well, these, obviously with a lot of wildlife, I want to stay as far away as possible. These foxes are very habituated and they will come a lot closer. So the one where they are both lying on the ground close to us, that was taken with my 50 mil.
Well,
Um,
close.
but that is the choice of the foxes. We have got down and on the ground, and it's their choice to come where they want to. And this was something I very much learned with the vixen who I first watched, and her happy distance was about 3 meters. Um, some of these foxes who have become very habituated and sometimes a little bit too much, sadly, because there is a lot of loneliness in urban areas, and I can understand why it happens, but people like to take a lot of food along to urban green spaces where they know there are foxes and birds and everything else. And they really, it's almost like they are substituting family, children, friends. Um, but there seems to be quite an effort from some people to want to tame the wildlife.
Yeah.
And even though they're coming that close, they're not tame, not tame at all. And it would be really lovely if over the next few years, if what I'm doing with watching them, with talking to people, interacting with other visitors there, I can break some of the bad habits of people desperately trying to feed these foxes by hand, which is something we should never encourage. I want people to support foxes in their
By
gardens.
hand, so people are trying very hard to do it, but they'll, and if there's
Yeah.
an incident, they'll be shooting the foxes.
Well, this is what is the concern. I mean, it does get closely monitored at the gardens where I'm at, where there is a constabulary. They're watching people and they monitor certain individuals quite closely. And obviously, they do get reports. There was a photographer who had said he was innocently sitting on the bench, and he was just taking photos of the fox, and he said, and lo and behold, the fox came up and bit my hand. And the officer said, and did you by any chance have something in your hand, and were you holding your hand out? You'd go, no, I would never do that. But I have seen that before. The real worry is there are a lot of children in this area, and children instantly do reach out for things. It's a very natural instinct. And if any one of these foxes smells, maybe the child's got a bit of jam on their hand from a sandwich. I'll tell you what, a fox loves jam. They shouldn't be really given a lot of it, unless you're medicating your garden foxes to help them fight off mange. No jam. Um, but the fox could smell that and come in and take a nip, and it probably wouldn't actually seriously damage you, but it's the fear it then instills into that child, into that child's family. It's the stories that can then be aired on social media or that news could pick up, and the news has occasionally taken stories about foxes and has really misrepresented them, and we really want to see an end to that. But I think the responsibility has to come back on a lot of photographers to say, as much as we want the wildlife up close and personal, we really need to actually suggest to the wildlife occasionally, keep back a bit and not do anything ourselves that could be irresponsibly getting them right up close to us. And I think feeding by hand is
Yeah,
just totally
should be dissuaded
inappropriate.
Okay.
for sure.
Right. Let's move on, Sarah. Neil's upset about this one, but the one we've got to show the one about the owls.
I'm not upset. It's a lovely photo. It's just on
Yeah.
my wish
Well,
list.
where was this taken, Sarah?
So this is Bushy Park, and you will see the same thing in Richmond Park and Hyde Park, uh, up near Kensington, and Regent's, um, even some of the smaller urban spaces around London. Not having been able to spend a lot of time exploring urban spaces in other parts of the country, I don't know quite how dense the populations are in other areas, but I know that little owls are right across the country. It's just it's about finding them, and that part of that is finding the habitat they like. So lots of old veteran trees with nice big holes in them, or if your areas where you've got lovely old stone walls or old barns that are falling apart. So up in Yorkshire, if you go out and look at some of the stone walls, dividing fields, so those are great places to find little owls. And join your local RSPB groups, the BTO, start talking to other bird watchers. You will find them. But yes, they're tiny, so a little owl is about this. And the female is slightly bigger than the male. So in my image of them, you'll see that with this pair, the female is on the left as you look at it, and her little partner is next to her. Now, this was taken about a month ago, and although these pair will bond pretty much for life, um, a lot of the year they spend apart. They'll be in close vicinity, so we normally throughout the winter hear them calling to each other, sort of dawn and dusk, sometimes even right throughout the day. But we wouldn't expect to see them actually pairing up until into the new year. But yes, they're coming together now, and it's been seen in quite a lot of different bird species and other wildlife species. And there's this confusion, this over the shifting seasons. We have the bouts of extreme weather, and then, I mean, here we've only had a few frosts, and I mean, up to 15 degrees the other day, which is just nuts.
What did you take this with?
So this is taken with the Fujifilm X-T5 and the 100 to 400 millimeters. This pair, they live in a part that's inaccessible to people, but there is a viewing place that a small group of us know about. But because they're so vulnerable, I can't tell people where.
Oh no.
So I hope you enjoy the images.
Okay.
But I'm able to actually rest the camera on a fence, which means even at low light. And actually, this one was shot at, I think, ISO 10,000.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah. Because the sun had basically set. Um, but the XT5 is fabulous. I know that I can reliably push the ISO, and then when you combine that with Lightroom denoise, and then I also like to use a little bit of topaz denoise and do a mask layer so I can bring back some of the sharpness and detail in some areas. But it brought it back nicely. But it's really interesting to observe this behavior and this change. I mean, it's going to take years and years of study to see what the trend is over sort of maybe the next 10 years into the
Okay.
shifting patterns.
Excellent. Okay. Ian, you've got some news for us.
Oh,
Your
yeah.
latest award. What tell us about that?
Yeah, it's not a massive deal. It's Cornwall Photographic Alliance. It's not every club in Cornwall, but most Cornwall clubs that are affiliated to the alliance, they do an annual nature and wildlife competition. 472 images, I think there was in total, across nature and wildlife. I don't know exactly what the split was, but wildlife is normally more images than nature. Yeah, and I was lucky to get joint third in nature, and one commended. And then in wildlife, I had one that was highly commended and one that was commended out of 6 images that I put in. So, yeah, did very well. Very pleased, yeah. It's a stiff competition. If you get a chance, have a look at the website, because the finalists on there, the images just phenomenal. I mean, it always amazes me that like the standard of work out there, the amateur photographers are doing, because these are not predominantly professionals. There'll be the odd professional in there, I'm sure, but predominantly these are just like us, hobbyist photographers, and the standard is just phenomenal. What's being done just locally, So yeah, I was pleased.
Well done, Ian.
Absolutely all those butterflies.
Yeah, those butterflies are always good. You always have a good time with those.
Good. Well done. We're going to move on to some news items. One of the sad bits of news in the last few days was the announcement of the death of Martin Parr, well-known photographer to a lot of us here, know the name, seen his work. Damo, do you want to say a little bit about this?
Yes, it's the outpouring of love for him that I was quite taken aback. He was such a everybody had such a nice something nice to say about him, that he took interest in everybody's work, and I think that's a nice thing to say about a person. But Yes, I discovered Martin's work very late in the day, but it's still very good. The work that he did in New Brighton up in the Wirral is excellent, and watching the TV special showing how he took his photographs, even as a young man wandering around a supermarket and sticking his camera into people's faces, and they don't seem to notice he's taking the pictures. How he did it, I just don't know. But an influential man and a sad loss, but he's got a foundation now that will be keeping an eye on people, and legacy will go on.
Yeah, I mean, I love his images because I think they just they just capture a period of time, don't they? They're documentary. We don't do enough of this. Like we should be taking pictures like this now, because you look back in 20 years and you go, wow, look how ridiculous that iPhone looks. You know, we don't think about it now, but in 20 years' time, it'll be quite sort of profound. You won't mind me saying this, but my mate goes around and takes pictures of like satellite dishes and bins in streets, because he's like, well, this is history. Like, it's really bizarre, but he's kind of right, because you know, in 20, 30 years' time, it'll be completely different. He's one photographer I didn't get to see speak, which is unfortunate. You know, from all this, you know, from going to the photography shows and stuff, I've seen a lot of speakers over the years. He's one that I didn't unfortunately get to see. But yeah, it is a shame. And it left me wondering when I saw the news, is there anyone that's really doing anything like this now? And if they are, do they have the same reach? Because it's probably just like on Instagram or something, and I don't know, it's a danger that there isn't someone doing similar kind of work.
There are a few out there. There are a few out there that are very similar.
But I think it's an interesting question to bring up, because when you speak about the whole thing of him going out and sticking his camera in people's faces, you know, I remember it's sort of in the late 80s, early 90s, when I would go out with the SLR I inherited from my dad, and particularly when I was doing my A-level art and then on to art college. And you just went out and you did stick it virtually into people's faces. And nobody tried to create a specific pose or come across in a different way. Everything was very authentic. Some people might give you a bit of an odd look, and but we used to do things as well. I remember going around the golf course up at Epsom Downs when I was doing my art foundation, and sticking my camera into the bins and taking photos of everything that was in the bins. And it was coming out with extraordinary abstracts. But yes, it seemed a lot easier and freer, whereas now if I go out and try to do a bit of street or a bit of candid work, I feel like it's never truly candid. People say, "Oh, wait a minute, John, let me take my glasses off," or "No, I've just got to adjust my hair," or some people say, "Oh no, I won't be on social media," and then somebody else will jump in front of you and go, "Oh, take my photo," and it just, I think the camera is so present now. I feel like someone needs to invent an invisible one.
It's called a phone, isn't it?
No. They even see you when you got your phone. If you hold your phone up, and never do that around Bushy Park. If some of the lads on their e-scooters are in, because if they think their picture is being taken, and you know, it's not just in the park. You know, watch out for it on the urban streets. Particularly because we've got a lot of phone fest now, and a lot happens on e-scooters and e-bikes. And if they think you're taking their picture, they will come for you.
Yeah,
We're in a different age.
we're not allowed to take people's pictures without permission here.
Well, we are.
No,
Nowhere he is.
Where you are. Okay.
No. If you take a picture of somebody and you haven't got their permission, they can come over and ask you to delete it. And if you don't delete it, then they can get the police involved.
Okay.
It's against the law. they have to be part of quite a large group before you can actually get away with it. So it's very strict. So people here generally, it's funny, you can pick up a phone and take somebody's picture quite easily and quite subtly because phones are commonplace. Everybody sees them, and the way people use phones these days isn't like we used to. They're
That's true.
holding them out in front of the palm of their hand, sort of thing, or just walking along like this, talking to the phone, and you could quite easily take a photograph. But you pick a camera up, any sort of camera, and next thing you know, they're jumping about saying, "No, don't take my picture." And yeah, you're right. It's also people are they react differently to the cameras now than they used to.
Mm. What happens in the future
Well,
when people look back and want to see the reality of this era? Um, we're not going to have the same thing of somebody finding a whole series of pictures like Vivian Mayer in their attic.
I do a lot of photography work for my wife's company called Young Enterprise. And this is groups of children from school doing the enterprise projects. And I have to be very careful because some of them are under, there may be a protection order in place, and I have to make sure that they're either not included in the photograph or I have to remove it in post because they may be, as I say, subject to a protection order. They're estranged from parents or something like that. So you have to even out on the street. This is around the street competitions that they do when they do their selling. So I have to be very careful in that. Let's move on to something a little bit lighter. Always around this time of year, the Comedy Wildlife Photo comes out. We always have a good giggle about this at this time of year, so I'm going to put up the address here now for the Comedy Wildlife Awards. I suggest please go and have a look at the site. There's too many photographs for us to show up here. I'll show a couple, but some of them they do bring a smile to your face. You had a particular favourite, Ian?
I was just looking now. I mean, it's difficult to pick one. I really do like the gannet with the grass just in its face. So it's just basically chuckle. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Neil made a good point before we started sort of recording around like the caption is probably really important. But personally, I mean, I've not looked at the captions. Actually, I think the best images are the ones that you can just look at and laugh without having the image being kind of explained to you. Like there's one towards the end of that page where it's actually 4 images together, which is great because the 4 images tell the story, but individually the images are not so great. And I don't think that's as successful as a single image that just makes you, smile. I think if you've got to put 4 images together to tell the story, it's not as effective, personally.
I love them. I think they're really funny. They're really funny, but I like the 3 lions, the little lion cubs with the tail arching over them. I think that's a lovely one as well. But the gorilla walk is very funny. Yes, I could see that in a Monty Python sketch.
Absolutely. I think one of my favorites that absolutely speaks for itself as well is the elephant.
Which one?
The ears coming over the eyes.
Yeah.
That absolutely doesn't need a caption. I do love captions, as Damien knows. I do love my captions, but sometimes it's wonderful when you don't need them.
Yeah, it was a bit like the bear with the big old smile, teethy smile.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I won't be winning this competition anytime soon. I've put my efforts in the folder. Seagull.
Yeah, we'll show that here. Excellent.
I didn't enter this year.
No, you had a good one when you did enter that year with the chameleon.
Yeah, but yeah. I don't know. Sometimes I think it's under.
Sarah, you must have a couple. We'll wait and see.
I've just been very bad at actually entering the competitions this year. But I almost don't necessarily see that as a bad thing for right now, because actually I've just been pouring all my energy into being out there and capturing stuff. But honestly, yeah, some wonderful, wonderful moments with so many of the subjects that I watch. The little owls are always wonderful. They're great comedy value. So and they're great for a good pun as well. Always coming up with new titles for them. Yeah, hopefully eventually I'll have a collection and I might have a bit of downtime where I'm not using all my energy to soak up learning and watch, and I can put them out there.
Yeah, ask everyone to go and have a look at that, and you'll have a good laugh and a good smile. Okay, so let's move on to a little bit of gear that we've seen. So we're going to talk about some new items we've seen. Sony have been very busy. They've released a couple of new cameras, a compact, the RX1R, and the other one is the Sony A7 Mark V. We're going to talk about that one tonight. We'll see if we can get. I'm going to try and get Sony to send us one a little compact so we can have a look at it. Sarah, you saw the new Sony A7 this week, did you?
I did. I saw it in action today. Today I've been at RHS Gardens Wisley with a bunch of my She Clicks group for our annual festive meetup, and our founder Angela Nicholson was testing the uh, the 7.5, and it's a lovely looking bit of kit. It looks like it's really nicely sized. She's testing it in combination with the new 100mm macro, and I absolutely know that a number of the Sony users within the group are going to want to get their hands on it very soon. So I think she was really enjoying the experience. There's a lot to play with in Wisley Gardens and all sorts of other places where there are light shows on, even if the lights aren't coming on till later. You've got a lot of sculptural pieces around. So the macro is great fun for that. She says the one downside is that the file size has got even bigger. And so you're really going to have to look at getting a lot more storage before you even start out on the journey. And, as a tester, she's taking huge amounts of shots and also using a lot of the pre-capture, which I know Sony shooters love. But it does come in huge file formats. So it's something you want to be aware of when looking at it. But all in all, it looks great. And reasonably soon there will be a review of it on the SheClicks website.
Thought they said with the file
Sarah,
size. Thought they said with the file size they've got some newer, more compact raw file on there.
Now that's something I'll have to ask Angela about. We didn't get around about that, but there could well be.
Canon have got a compressed one where, because of the raw sizes, it's a bit like when the music came out and they got the MP3. They take out redundant parts of the raw file that we don't need and compress it down. So they call it C-RAW. That's the Canon one.
But the R5, the 5 is 33 megapixels, which is the same as the 4. So shouldn't be file sizes should be similar, I would have thought, to the previous.
Yeah, the problem may be that if you're using pre-caption, it's now doing 30 frames a second,
taking more images rather than the actual file size.
1 second pre-capture with RAW. You're looking at, if it's a 33 megapixel, it's what, 35 megapixel image. That's 30 images, before you've pressed the button effectively. Plus when you did press the button, so that could be 60 images where you might have only taken 5 or 6. I mean, I know it from the Nikon Z9 when they first brought that out. I tried. I attempted to, not attempted, I tried the 120 frames a second. And the biggest problem with that was the number of files. It's just like, you can capture that fine moment, but finding it, So I've never used it since. Never.
The A7
5.
Yeah, it's 33 megapixel. It's the new one that they've just released.
No, it's only 33 meg, the camera.
Is it?
Yeah, it's gone up from a 24, I think it was.
No, the Mark IV was 33 megapixels as well. I've got them both on. Got them both on Wex here, yeah, because you can still buy the Mark IV.
Stacked, isn't it?
Well, that was what I was going to get to. Is the interesting thing.
Is that a reasonable price?
Maybe it was
£2,799?
It's in that R6 Mark III Z6 area, isn't it? It's in that bracket basically.
One of the things I always look at with these cameras as well is the battery life, and it seems to have quite a good battery life, because as soon as we've gone to mirrorless, battery life's gone through the floor. But actually, they reckon even if you're using the screen on the back, you'll get 630 shots out of it.
Yeah, that is quite impressive.
Yeah, which is right up there, which is very good.
Yeah, I thought this release was interesting because, Canon announced the R6 and the Mark III, and that's been getting some really good reviews, and people have been saying that is the best camera in that bracket, if you like. And then a few weeks later, it's only come along with this. And from what I'm hearing on the reviews, that stacked sensor, which has given you quicker readouts, is maybe just tipping the R6 Mark III, because that's reducing your rolling shutter basically. So yeah, it's good. It's competition, isn't it?
Well,
you've got
one of the things is I don't know if I think the other manufacturers are doing it, but Canon are giving you cash back now when you buy a brand new camera. So I just picked up the R6 Mark II for.
Oh, you kept that quiet.
I know. I just thought that because I'd got some money, I put in some of the old equipment I had, and I got. I looked at it, and it was £2,000, and then it dropped to 1,900. Then I've got to get the lens adapter, so that's 2,000. But then, if I buy it, I've got £400 cash back from Canon, so I'm getting the whole thing for 1,600.
Nikon did something similar last year. You could actually trade in any camera and they'd give you cash. It could even not be working.
Oh,
which was crazy.
That's
yeah, I'm gonna trade in one of my kiddie zooms. Do you think that'll work?
But the thing is, now I've got the R6 Mark II. I'm just I don't know what Martin must have liked, because he's got it. I'm overwhelmed with the amount of things I can do. The jump up is just too much for me, because I'm just trying very hard to get all the bells and whistles. And I think when I have to get back into a learning course, I mean, I now know what Neil goes through when he's with his machine, the Nikon machine he's got.
But
it just does just so much.
But this is a problem, I think, with a lot of cameras, and I hope you don't mind me saying this, Damo, but I think your strength lies in the fact that you're not a technical photographer. I think you need to stick to just being creative, and a Canon R6 is technical, and I think just be careful you don't try and get too technical, because your skill lies in just getting a good image.
I've already started making mistakes. So I thought, well, I'm going to have a try of aperture priority, because I'm not really an aperture priority person. I'm very much in the manual, and I've got myself all over the place because I'm forgetting what I'm doing with half of it being on. So I've got to relearn. But no, it's kind of you to say that. But it does do it. I wanted the tracking because I want to catch one of those elusive birds that I keep scaring away, Sarah.
Just do remember that you don't need to leave all that tracking and everything on all the time. We had a couple of people being caught out by bird eye detection today with all the berries that are around. Suddenly the camera thinks there's about 100 blue tits in the tree, and it's not the one they're really looking at. So sometimes less can be more. And
I agree, yes.
I wouldn't be surprised if you actually turn back to manual.
Yes.
I grew up on manual, and
same as you. I did as well.
As much as I've gone to other things and tried them out, and I know the benefits, I absolutely see the benefits in most areas. It just is not quite natural to me.
My father forced me a manual. It was all manual. And then when I get onto aperture priority, I have to really rethink, or shutter priority. I can do it.
Just at the end of the day, need
think it.
to learn how to use your camera, know the limitations of it,
Yeah,
and how in what scenarios you need to do what.
that's
Which is
right.
kind of what Sarah's just saying. It's just, yeah, just use it for what you need to use it for. Don't feel you have to use all the options.
It's quite daunting when you look at the menu structure on the back. You've got literally page after page after page of
It's a
items you've got to
Canon.
set
What
or
do you
look at
expect?
and get. It's huge, absolutely huge. So I've just about got through the manual, so I'm getting there. Right,
It's a
okay. So
Canon. What do you
um,
expect? I mean, come on.
okay, we're going to move on a little bit now, and we're going to. I asked the guys to submit their best photograph for taken this year. So we're going to show them up here now. And I'd like, if any of the viewers out there would like to comment and send us a view and send us which they think is the best, we'll have a look at that. And of course, if you've taken a photograph this year that you really have enjoyed, send it in to us. We'd be delighted to show them up in the next show, which will be in the new year. I'll put up a link here on the screen where you can send them to. So let's start off with, who should we start off with? Ian, do you want to talk us through
Yeah,
your best photograph?
yeah. Oh, it's difficult to choose a best because I think it depends what mood I'm in on the day. But this one, the Common Blues in the morning dew, which I took this earlier this year, is yeah. There's one that did well at the CPA, but I've had this on my hit list for a few years. I've always wanted, dew on a butterfly. I don't know why. I just think it looks amazing. And to find two that morning was just, yeah, hit the jackpot. So yeah, I was just really pleased. I've got it up, printed it, nice A3. It's up on the wall. It's pointless having these things just sitting on the hard drive. So yeah, I was really pleased with that.
So who are we going to go to next? Sarah, do you want to talk about your one?
My favorite photograph this year. Um, it might not even necessarily be the best image, but it's created the most talking points, and it makes me smile every time I see it. And that's an image we talked about when you had me on as a guest recently. And it's two of our foxes, the two siblings, and uh, she's facing him, and her eyes are closed, and he's there actually sort of really sort of giving it all. um lots of chat, and it's one that you can just come up with loads of captions for, and my sister came up with the caption, by golly, your breath stinks. Kind of links back into the comedy wildlife. But actually, it's a charming meeting of two siblings who don't share the same territory anymore, but come together on the borders just to say hello.
Excellent, excellent. Who's next? Let's go to Neil. Neil, tell us about your photo here.
So mine is actually from the Neon Triathlon. I get involved with helping out every year with them, and this is the race leader in the national competition. Just as he comes out of the water at the swim, takes a big gulp of air from all of his efforts, and they've got this almost like beard-like water pouring down his front. For some reason, I put it in black and white. I like it in black and white, and to this day, I've put it back to color a few times, and it ends up back in black and white every time I look at it.
Man,
It's a great
excellent.
picture, Neil. Great
Yeah,
picture.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really
really
like.
kind of.
Neil, have you ever tried printing on metallic paper?
Yeah, yeah. I've not done this one on metallic. I've
I
got it
think it would look amazing.
This is actually behind me as well. I've got it printed on the wall. Um, it the print got damaged in the post when it first arrived. It's on an aluminium die bond, and it was slightly bent. So I complained about it being bent. They sent me another one, and I tried straightening it, and I managed to straighten the thing. So I wrote to the guy and asked him if he'd like it. So he paid the post, and I sent him the image.
Nice. Is that like a transfer or something on his arm?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So
Yeah.
they have to have their numbers on twofold. So they have a thing on the ankle that records the time, and every time they go across the mat, it records the time and who they are. But for all the photos and everything, they have to have exactly that as well.
Lovely.
Yeah. So,
Okay, Damo, tell us about your one.
So I just love London lights, and I love Birmingham. I like Christmas lights. Probably coming back from the time of the illuminations when I was a lad at Blackpool. But I traipsed around London a week ago, and right at the end, I was tired out and got hit Oxford Circus, and it was just so busy. But I managed to get in the central reservation, and you can imagine the people behind me taking selfies. Uh, the circus exits were getting blocked. I thought, I've got to get there because I won't get home, and I could probably walk to Marylebone, but it was getting very, very crowded, and the cars were coming by and the buses, and so I arrested me the X100 V and took this shot, and I then played around with the post processing a little bit more intelligently than I had done in the past, and lifted out the people, and then got a bit more light in the center. Uh, the All's Fair was highlighted, and then it looked really good. It looked really good, and I was really pleased. The last picture of the night before I headed home and managed to get into one of the exits before they were shut and got on the tube home. And I've been submitting to something called Share Mondays for a long, long time, and it got selected for this week's winner. So next week I'm on the judging for Share Mondays 2025. So yeah, maybe not. It was just a great urban I was really pleased about, and I just like the lights, and it just sums up a tiring but fun time on the London lights in London.
Next time you're up there, Demo, go down
Yeah.
Regent Street, and you can get into the middle of the road and stay in the middle of the road. There's an island, and you've got a slight bend on the road as well. It's really cool with the light trails.
There's lots of opportunities there, and especially around Chinatown. And you talk about street photography. People do notice you've got your camera around you, but they are just so interested in everything else. It's still a wonderful place to get pictures in there, but you just have to be very careful you don't get your camera taken off you.
Yeah, that's right. And finally, I'm going to show up my one here, which was taken. Taken one evening, and it's the hoarfrost, which was still around. Beautiful bank of trees in the background, and I was really surprised how bright. There was some lights showing from the reflection. So this just came out what I thought reasonably well. I'm be interested to tell you your 4 comments. I'm sure it'll say, yeah, rubbish. Don't even bother, Kelly. We'll give it a try. But it was what I missed in the morning. There was going down the road. The hoarfrost was in place. There was a really strong mist as well. So you just got this tunnel effect where it just disappeared into nothing. Unfortunately, didn't have a camera with me, so went round that night.
I was going to say, you can tell you're still
shot at night, because that gorgeous slate grey graduation into the deep blues, it just provides a wonderful backdrop for those beautifully delineated branches. It's got a real mystical, magical feel to it. Oh yeah, if only we'd get that kind of frost in Surrey.
No, good.
I was going to say, you can tell you're still reading the manual for the R6 because you took it on your iPhone.
Well, it was prior to me winning the camera competition. This was taken last year. But as I said, literally, I had no other camera with me. I had the phone, and it just sort of one of those moments you do see it, and I don't often see a photograph. I'm not that good, but it just caught my eye, and I thought, yeah, try and capture this. Good. So as I said, if any of our viewers out there have got a photograph they've taken this year that they'd like to submit to us, please send it through. I'll put the link down here again, and we'll see if we can show them up in the January show. Okay, let's move on. Obviously, at this time of year, people start doing a review of what's happened in the past year and what's come in, and also forecast next year. What are the trends going to be next year? So there's a site here, Pixpo, I'll put the link up, who've done that and said what they think was going to be what's hot, what's new, and what's next. So go and have a look at that and see what you think of them. But I'm going to ask the guys here what they think may be the trend for next year. Should we start off with Neil? What do you think 2026 is going to bring us?
So for me, we're already seeing it. Adobe have just brought it in the last, well, one of the last updates into Lightroom is the culling feature. There's a lot of people are now bringing in using AI to selectively cull photos. I mean, and when you get these, you've got these cameras that will shoot 120 frames a second or whatever it is, then something like that starts to become more important to some people. I tried it with Adobe out of interest, so I set it up and tried it on a section of photos I'd taken at a rugby match. I then marked all those photos, and then I manually went through and did it myself because I wanted to see how accurate it was. And it's interesting what it misses. And it's missing things because of what it thinks the subject is, not maybe what the subject actually is. Especially when you're taking an image of somebody through like a portrait image through a gap in other people's, two people standing together through the body, so through the gap in an arm or something. It seems to miss them. So it's good, but it ain't that good. Like a lot of AI, it misses some of the obvious stuff. I think that'll be a big thing. We've seen it. It's already out there, and they're promoting it for wedding photographers, stuff like that. And it's obviously coming into the general public now. So I think that'll be something to look at, how AI is going to actually help the photographer get to that final picture quicker. And I think we'll see a lot more. Maybe not see it, but it'll happen a lot more behind closed doors on a lot of the photography competitions as well.
I think I almost think Adobe have to do that because I feel like they've had quite a bit of backlash this year for the amount of generative AI that they've done, and photographers have gone, hang on a minute, we don't want to create images in Photoshop, we want to edit our own images. I think you're right. I think Adobe are maybe starting to listen, and I think there may be more of an emphasis on tools to make the workflow easier rather than just type in a prompt to create an image.
For me, that's something super important to me because
Adobe have made record profits, so they feel they're doing the right thing. They feel they are leading the way, and there's no stopping what they're going to do next.
I think there could be a bit of a general pushback against a lot of the AI features, and I think particularly with the generative creation, and we've seen a lot of the trends of this year of people sort of jumping on the making their sort of own figurine, in a packaging, almost like your own Barbie doll, and creating really complex scenes. But I think about the younger generation who are very environmentally conscious, and there's an awful lot of discussion about the effect on the planet of the amount of power that is used in producing just one of those images. And I think we need to start consciously thinking about that when we're using it in that way. But AI to assist us, I think, would be great. And I'd love to see Adobe come up with a feature where we could train our version of Lightroom to look at our images from our perspective. So if I could feed my 100 favorite pictures of foxes, that it could learn then what it is I'm looking for in an image of a fox. Because I've done wedding photography in the past. It's not something I'm physically really capable of doing now. I can see where it can be great for a lot of that and corporate and events photography.
They
I
already
don't dare use it for mine.
they already have, there's online companies that do it for wedding photography. There's no reason why that tech
Yeah.
can't be applied to other genres of photography. None at all. But I guess it's the demand. Would you pay? How much would you pay or be willing to pay? And that's the question that the businesses want to know is how much would you pay to have that?
Yeah, I think that is difficult when obviously an awful lot of us who are wildlife photographers are passionate enthusiasts. Um, so there is a certain amount of a limited budget, but I'm sure they could come up with different packages directed at different areas of photography and people using it in different ways. Even it was just to help out with, say, one particular workshop you'd done that you had 6,000 images from.
Ian, what any idea what you think for next year? New trend?
Not really a trend. Well, I guess there's been a big sort of compact camera influx this year, hasn't there? And I kind of hoping, maybe Canon are going to come out with, a retro type camera. I think there is this kind of harking back to the past a little bit. We've seen it with the Fuji X1/2. We've seen it with a sudden resurgence with, compact cameras. And I think maybe that will continue a little bit. Maybe, people are getting a bit bewildered with megapixels and frames per second and stuff, and actually just want to go back to just a picture that they can stick on Instagram or TikTok or wherever it is. And so I wonder if that trend will continue. And I kind of hope Canon will do like a Nikon ZF style retro type
It's
camera.
it's due to come next year, according to the rumors.
Mm.
The Canon AE1, but it's going to be a mirrorless. That's the rumors from what I've seen.
Yeah.
So yeah, it looks like they're working on it.
It'll
So,
be interesting to see
yeah.
how Fujifilm will
Yeah, I mean, because it's their
will
50th,
deal with that.
it's the 50th anniversary, so I think that's what
Yeah.
they're going to time it
Makes
with.
sense.
What it seems to
I
say.
think, that mirrorless has maybe got to slightly a saturation point with how far they can push. Obviously, there's going to be more stuff coming, but so, maybe Canon, Nikon, Fuji, they are going to have to look at slightly different revenue streams. And I think maybe this retro type market is somewhere to go,
Damo, what's your thoughts for 2026?
I think following on from the Instagram question, because Instagram have just changed their algorithm, there's going to be a tension now between people harping back to what Instagram was, just a picture viewer, and there's sites coming out or things you can use called something called Iris, where it's just for photography, photo is another one, or you go down the route of video. And as somebody suggesting, why don't you just pile all your photographs in a reel and post up onto Instagram? So your still photographs are coming over as a video. So I tested that out. And it seems to be that if I post a picture now on Instagram, it'll get me seen by my followers, but nobody else. But if I put a reel in of all the pictures, 5 pictures, a bit of music, then I get 50% will be my followers and 50% will be new followers. So chasing the algorithm, I think, is going to be the thing of the 2026. Where is it going to go, and what's the best medium to show your pictures? If you are wanting to get them out there on social media, you're going to have a bit of a tension between the retro, or the new ones.
My prediction, I think, and see what the guys think, I think there's going to be some amalgamations of both the camera manufacturers. The sales are really hard at the moment, and I think we could lose one of the big ones, or some of the lesser brands disappear completely. Anyone have thoughts on that as well?
I think there
No. Okay,
there is
great.
a
Okay.
potential.
Yeah, okay, well, that's a completely wasted prediction.
No, I was going to agree about some of the lesser ones. I actually have a feel that that Kodak, I mean, they've got the compact still, but I don't really see them anywhere in the market. I think they could return to analog.
Interesting.
I'd throw maybe OM Systems in the hat, which I know is a bold thing to say because but the reason I say that is the last camera they released was a very minor upgrade, wasn't it? I can't even remember what camera it was. It was very, very minor. Obviously, their history is checkered anyway with it. It used to be an Olympus, and now it's OM Systems. So I don't know. Didn't seem to be a lot of sort of development coming out from them. Even though everyone that you speak to that uses their systems raves about their cameras in terms of their macro capability and wildlife. I don't know. They're quite a small player in the field, and they're in a risky position potentially. So it's an interesting prediction, Martin. But yeah.
They have some interesting ideas with their cameras. I think they were the first to bring in electronic ND filters within the camera, which is something I'm surprised other manufacturers haven't picked up on.
And we haven't even mentioned where phones will go, the phone camera, or has that reached its the end of the line?
It is hard to see how much better they can make phone cameras. They're pretty astounding at the moment as they are. Just bigger sensors, bigger counts, more, in more and larger optical internal zooms, that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's pretty high end stuff now on most of the major manufacturers.
One thing that seems obvious is, and maybe people are doing it already, I don't know, but certainly with the AI angle is, I mean, how long is it going to be until you hold your iPhone up, you try and frame something, and you get some prompts on the screen that go, you'll just move a little bit, to the right, or lift. Yeah, just to improve the composition. I mean, that seems like a very doable thing, I would have thought.
I was just going to say, you'd think with phone cameras, they would use the AI built into the phone to look at the photographs on your phone to then improve your style of photography or enhance what you're doing.
Yeah. Give you a rating.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a landscape photographer and you're out doing stuff, or even you're photographing a moon, Martin, it would help you to do that process better.
Then I could definitely do with the help. That's certainly a thing for me. Good. Okay. So all in all, 2026 should be an interesting year. Give us more to talk about. One prediction I will make is that we'll hopefully be here by the end of the year, still talking and still having a good laugh with all the guys here. So I'm going to say to them all, give you an opportunity to wish everyone a happy Christmas. We'll see you all in the new year. Ian, where can we find you?
Yep, just Ian Lewis Photography on Instagram.
Okay. Sarah, where can we find you?
You can find me on Blue Sky at Sarah Longes.
Damo, where can we find you?
On the Damo, or just put in the Damien Walmsley and should be able to find me.
And Neil, where can we find you?
I'll probably by the side of a rugby in February. And I'll give my excuses now for not being around in February, but it's going to be a super busy month. But yeah, Dodgy Photo or by the side of a rugby pitch in February.
Okay. So I'm going to take this opportunity to wish everyone here a happy Christmas, a happy holiday. I hope you enjoy yourselves, get all the presents you want, and have a really great new year. We'll see you all in January with our next year's show. So from all the guys here, good night and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, good night.
Christmas.
Greetings.
Where's my hat?